We're coming to you from the Results Operating Centre here in Durban, which is going to be the base for the IEC here in the province of KwaZulu-Natal. And at the centre where we are, still not a lot of activity today. Of course, as we know that the focus is what is happening in the communities with the first day of the special votes. And I can tell you that over 100,000 special votes will be taking place over the 2 days here in KwaZulu-Natal. 70,000 of those, or more, just more than 70,000, are going to be home visits, and the rest will be people who will be voters, rather, who will be then going to the voting stations. A bit of challenges this morning, voting stations and those home visits disrupted in some areas down in the south, in the Buhlebezo municipality, around the Ikopa area, parts of Durban as well, and also some areas just north of Durban in the Ndwedwe area, as also up in the northern parts of KwaZulu-Natal. We've just had reports there from the Zululand District Municipality that there was some issues taking place there. We had a briefing from the IEC which acknowledged, yes, there were some of those glitches in terms of their staff being able to access certain areas due to those protests, but they're saying currently all the IEC officials, accompanied by the party agents, are out visiting the homes where people will be voting. And just speaking of course, the security concerns, as we know, we've been reporting in the build-up to this election that KwaZulu-Natal was one of the provinces. It was the Northwest and KwaZulu-Natal identified as hotspot by our security agencies. And just speaking on issues around security, I'm now joined by the spokesperson for the police here in the province of KwaZulu-Natal, Brigadier J. Naka. Brigadier, thanks very much for joining us. And a very busy morning, I must say, but we did know, we had spoken that KwaZulu-Natal was going to be, had been identified as a hotspot. Just take us through this morning, police waking up, many protests here and about. How have you managed to handle all of that?
Now look, we had protests over last week, and we knew that in those areas there was going to be still that possibility that people will be blockading roads and what have you. So we had contingencies in place. Over and above the police officers that were escorting the IEC officials, we had roving teams that were in place placed strategically so that they can react and clear those roads and ensure that the IEC officials can proceed with their work. So over and above that, even in the days to come, even on the election day, we will have those roving teams in place consisting of public order policing unit, K9 units and whatever, that will be able to react quickly should we encounter any protest action.
I know that there were areas that you had focused on. Just take us roughly through. I'm sure some of our communities out there, voters, are concerned about the situation. I know you won't be getting into your operational plans, but in terms of the voting station, the priority areas, how have you deployed?
Now look, we have done assessments in terms of the various areas, especially with regards to the numbers of people that we're going to place at polling stations. We have done assessments, and we have obviously, in terms of our risk assessment, we will be deploying police officers accordingly. So some of the areas will receive more police officers than normal. Then over and above that, as I said, we will have police officers placed at those areas where we're anticipating that we may encounter problems, so that they'll be able to react and ensure that the freedom of our people are unhindered, freedom of the IEC officials are unhindered, any officials for that matter that will be working during the election day.
The protest of this morning, if you can just take us through any arrests?
Look, this morning, we had some sporadic protest action, especially around eThekwini and the outlying areas, but we were able to react very swiftly and clear, and in most cases when police officers arrive on the scene, they will quickly flee. So there's been no arrest in terms of that, but our police officers are standing off in those areas just to ensure that those roads remain open. All
right, Brigadier Joineka, thank you so much for your time. I know we'll be catching up with you throughout the next 3 days, and the fourth day on Thursday as well, in terms of the peace operations. Thanks very much there to the spokesperson for the police in KwaZulu-Natal, Brigadier J. Naka, just taking us through. It was a very busy morning, of course, for the police and IEC officials, as we said earlier, as they were unable to get to certain areas on time. But the latest report that we had from the IEC was that all the officials are out, accompanied by party agents. Just an important fact, they did say that, of course, voting will end today, but they will try, obviously, because of the delays, they will have to then continue with some of those home visits that they were unable to get through today. But they have said that failing which come 5 o'clock tomorrow, if they are unable to reach all their homes, and they are saying that there is a high possibility that they will not be able to get to all the 70,000 home visits that they should go through in the past 2 days, that they are now requesting that people come through on Wednesday, that they get assistance from members of the public, and that they take those voters to the voting stations. Of course, we'll be continuously giving you updates from the provincial rock. The police are keeping a close eye on the situation out across the province of KwaZulu-Natal. And of course, while I'll be here, I have my colleagues who will also be giving us all the action news across the province of KwaZulu-Natal. I'm going to leave it here, Nzinga, and back to you in studio.
Very correct. Ayanda Mhlongo giving us an update from KwaZulu-Natal. Of course, we know there's a